Hi, Ashley. I'm
Hi, KJ.
excited to get into our second episode of this podcast
Me
already.
too. So last week we talked about what gentle parenting is, and this week we're going to talk about what gentle parenting is not.
Yeah, let's do it. Welcome to the Fiercely Gentle podcast.
Gentle parenting is not just about how we respond to our kids. It's also about who we are becoming as parents.
So many of us were raised in traditional homes and were taught to listen and comply, but now we want to do things differently. I'm KJ Altoff.
And I'm Ashley Kanazowicz. We're two imperfect moms trying to navigate parenting, overcome our triggers, and share what we're learning so you don't have to feel so alone.
Let's come together and learn how to become more fierce in our values so that we can stay gentle in our parenting.
This is Fiercely Gentle. So, KJ, let's get started with you.
Yes.
What do you think gentle parenting is not?
Well, I want to kick it off by bringing up probably the most controversial or maybe the most common misconception of what gentle parenting is and why so many people hate it. And it's because they believe it is permissive parenting. Those are actually two very different parenting approaches. But I think because the word gentle is in the name, that immediately what comes to mind is just parents just speaking calmly and patiently and just it's okay, don't cry. Like I'll be here to help you with whatever you need. And I think that is why parents are like, absolutely not. I'm not a gentle parent because I don't talk that way. So gentle parenting is actually under the authoritative parenting umbrella, and authoritative parenting is one of the four widely known parenting approaches. And permissive parenting is a whole separate approach and completely under its own category of parenting approaches. So it's not the same as gentle parenting.
And let's just sit on that for a second. I
Yeah.
feel like that's a surprising thing to learn is that gentle parenting is a form of authoritative parenting. It is.
Yes, it is. With authoritative parenting, it is the idea that the parent is still very much the authoritative figure in the
Mhm.
home, but unlike authoritarian parenting, which is very similar in name but very different in the approach, is authoritarian parents are very much control based. And
Mhm.
they are, if you think of a hierarchy or if you think of the top of a food chain, authoritarian parents are at the top and they expect their kids to listen to them. They expect obedience and they
Yeah.
see respect as you listen to me, you do as I say because I'm the parent, I'm in
Yep.
charge. And I don't want to hear what you have to say if it doesn't align with what I want because it's what I want goes, I know better. That kind of mindset, which so
Yeah.
many of us are very familiar with. Authoritative parenting is different in that even though the parent is still the parent and still sees their role as having responsibility and taking ownership of their parenting and guidance of their kids, it is much more of a collaborative approach. It's not so much control based where it's you listen to what I say because I'm the parent. It's more of I'm the parent, I'm the guide, I'm going to help you build the skills you need, but we're going to work on it together. I want you to feel like you have a voice here. I want it to feel like your opinions matter and your
Yeah.
needs matter, and I want to understand where you're coming from. I want to work with you as a team, and I'm going to guide you. And
And you
you're not,
have input, you have a say.
yeah. And it's not free will where you can do whatever you want. As the parent, it's my job to establish boundaries, but
Hmm.
I'm going to give you as much flexibility and autonomy as I can within that boundary as you're learning and
Absolutely.
growing, right? So that is the difference between the authoritarian approach and the authoritative approach. Now with the permissive parenting, this is again where a lot of people mix up gentle parenting and permissive parenting. On the permissive side, you have parents who really do focus and prioritize the connection and the nurture, and they want that strong bond with their kids, but they lack the structure, they lack the boundaries, they
Hmm.
lack the expectations that, parental roles do need to have and provide their kids with because kids do need structure and routine.
Hmm.
And permissive parents they lack that. They don't want to have conflict with their kids. They don't want to discipline. They don't want to upset their kids. They just want to focus on
Yeah.
the relationship and the connection, which is important. But
There
that
has
is
to be a
where the
balance.
permissive side is because yeah, kids do also need boundaries and
Yep.
they need to learn certain skills that require structure and so those are the differences between permissive and gentle parenting.
I love it. It's guidance rather than obedience.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Kids, like you said, they crave structure and they need rules and boundaries within their day. In fact, I notice that when our routine sways even just a little bit and my kids
Mhm.
are not forewarned ahead of time, they get very confused. And that tends to bring on what we would call bad behaviors because they don't know where those boundaries are now
Mhm.
because we've changed them and we haven't talked about it. So they
Mhm.
really do crave boundaries. They want to know
Yes.
where they stand and what's expected within
Mhm.
their day and what's expected for them
Mhm.
or what we're willing to accept. And it's a mutual agreement of what those rules are and how we can all function within them with those relationships staying, healthy and intact. And I think for me personally, I tend to like overcompensate sometimes because I'm so afraid of leaning to like do what I say because I say it, or like when I
Mhm.
get stressed out, you're not listening to me. This is what I'm telling you to do. You have to do it. And so sometimes I find myself backing away a little bit too much. I'm just like, "Okay, hands up, I'm done. I've had it."
Mhm.
And so having those, reminding yourself that it's not permissive, having those boundaries, practicing them, knowing them, it helps make those situations stay within your structure so that you're not, putting
Yeah.
your hands up and going, I don't know what to
Yeah.
do. Just do whatever you want.
I think a lot of it too has to do with our intention because it's not so much our choices as parents, like you said. Like sometimes, we might get to a point where maybe we're triggered or instinct to try and control the situation surfaces because you and I were both raised, with more of that, kids in the 90s, more of that
Yep.
authoritarian approach, right? So that control and listening and things like that. So we have that in common. And sometimes that can come out still, even though we've been doing this for years. And sometimes we do have to throw our hands up in the air and be like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to allow this time, right?
And knowing when that's okay, knowing
Yeah.
when you can do that.
And it
Mhm.
really is the intention. It's not so much, okay, so you did this, so you're being permissive. It's more of like, no, I understand why
Yeah.
I had to make this choice. It was either this or I was going to absolutely just lose it in that moment. And I chose not to lose it in the moment because
Yes.
my connection with my kids is more important in that moment
Yep.
versus okay, I'm just gonna do this because I'm trying to avoid the conflict, right? Like it
Hmm.
really is the intention behind our choices and being aware of it. And that, that's why it's so hard to really explain exactly what it is because it's not a
Not
specific,
that
like you
easy.
do this and this and this, and then that's gentle parenting. It really is so
Yeah.
much more internal and yeah, a mindset shift. So yeah, that was a really great point. What do you think?
Yeah.
What is something for you? Or what is an example of what gentle parenting is not for you?
Well, it's definitely not black and white, like you
Yeah.
said. And I think because it's not so easy, because it's not so clearly constructed, this is what it is and this is what it isn't, definitely,
Hmm.
it's really easy to make mistakes.
Hmm.
And it's easy to obviously get triggered. I think we all like to feel like everything is under control, and your kids don't really care about whether you feel like you have everything under control.
So true.
It's not an
Yeah.
interest of theirs.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to struggle
Hmm.
within parenting in general. And I think it's so important for me to hear this. And so, probably everyone else as well. It is not about being perfect. It's
Hmm.
not about getting it right every time. It's not about appearances. It's not about appearing calm or gentle all the time,
Hmm.
right?
That's such a good point. Yeah.
It's definitely being aware of how you're responding, how you're feeling in your own body,
Hmm.
how they're acting, how they're feeling.
Because
But
we're
I
not
think,
robots. We're not
yeah,
going to show up completely calm and patient all the time. That is,
yeah,
if you are not calm and patient, that doesn't mean you're not a gentle parent.
right. I'm not calm and
I
patient.
am definitely not.
And it's not like you can just flip this switch and then all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
you're like you said, a robot, like, oh, now I'm calm and
Mm-hmm.
patient all the time. But to lean in on what gentle parenting is in the face of not being perfect, it's about relationships also. And so when you make mistakes and when you do get triggered and maybe explode all over your children, you apologize and you
Mm-hmm.
explain to them, this was not within our boundaries. This was not the way that I should have responded to you. I was
Mm-hmm.
feeling this way. I should have responded this way, but I responded this way instead. That's not
Mm-hmm.
okay. I'm sorry. I think two really magical things can happen when you allow yourself to not be perfect in front of your
Mm-hmm.
kids. The first thing is they're going to be able to relate to you a whole lot better because they're not going to be perfect either.
Yeah.
And if they grow up with an authoritarian, perfect parent who
Mm-hmm.
puts on this mask of being perfect and being in charge all the time, then when they get older and they mess up, they're not going to feel comfortable necessarily turning to that perfect parent because they're going to feel like a big letdown. They
Mm-hmm.
made a mistake. So if they see a parent who makes mistakes in front of them and who is okay talking about it and explaining what happened and why it happened and how we can do it differently next time, when they're older and they make those mistakes, they're going to feel so much more comfortable coming to us because we already exemplified what it looks like to make mistakes. And they're going to
Right.
know that we expect them to make
Mm-hmm.
mistakes and that
Mm-hmm.
when that happens, we will discuss it.
Because if they feel safe, if you make a mistake and you have a relationship with the parent where it feels safe to make mistakes, you're going to learn that it's something that you can learn from versus hide,
It's
right?
not
You're not going to
a
tie it to
weakness or
your
a
self-worth.
failure.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
I love it when we agree
I know. We're
at the
like,
same
yeah, we're on
time.
the
Yeah.
same because it's so true, especially if you grew up in a home where perfection was valued and
Yes.
you were afraid
Valued,
to come
expected.
home and, oh, you failed a
Hmm.
test or, you didn't do so well on a project and you knew that when you came home you were going to get in trouble for it.
Yes.
And you can't help but feel like there's something wrong with you as a person
Hmm.
when you're getting punished or disciplined for not performing well, when it's all
Yeah.
performance based. And so, of course, when you make mistakes, it's not going to feel safe. It's not going to feel like something that you're allowed to do, when in
Yeah.
fact, mistakes are a complete normal experience and we don't improve without making mistakes in life. So,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
not the lesson we want to teach kids is, to not make mistakes.
Exactly. And on the flip side of that, we'd be teaching them also how to apologize, which
Hmm.
I think is so hard for adults to apologize.
Yeah.
It's so hard. And maybe because of this kind of expectation of perfectionism from our childhood, it's hard to admit as an adult that I messed up and I'm sorry. And
Yeah.
just stop there, not have all these excuses or these validations of why the behavior was okay, or blame it
Hmm.
on somebody else, but just a genuine accepting your
Hmm.
faults and apologizing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
if
and if
we
that was
can,
never modeled to you,
right,
it'd be
exactly.
hard to do. Hmm.
Exactly. So if you have this heavy weight of needing to not show your cracks and your flaws and be perfect, and then you have this foreign apology concept that was never really taught to you, what
Hmm.
what is your life going to be as an adult? But if
Hmm.
you're raised in an environment where you see mistakes happen all the time and you're open and honest about them, and you have people apologizing to you genuinely and sincerely, then how cool is it going to be to grow up knowing that not only can you make mistakes, but you can also fix them?
Yeah.
You can learn from them and you can apologize and you can rebuild.
Yeah. As much as we want to believe that forcing kids to apologize is how we teach them how to apologize, it really doesn't teach them that.
Yes.
Just saying the words, I'm sorry, doesn't actually teach
Yes.
genuine empathy. It's being on the receiving end of an
Mhm.
apology. And that's what we're also teaching when we repair with our kids, when we mess up or we yell or we do something that we regret later and we go to them and we apologize and we tell them, hey, that was on me. I made the
Yep.
wrong choice, and I'm sorry that I yelled at you or I said those things to you. Being on the receiving end of that as a child, you're like, oh, okay, so this is what it looks like to own behavior. This is what it
Yep.
looks like to apologize for mistakes. And they're learning what it feels like on the receiving end. That's how you're going to teach genuine empathy.
Hmm.
kids.
I'm so glad you mentioned forcing them to say I'm sorry
Mhm.
because that's actually something we've been talking about a lot. If we can veer into that for just a
Yeah, let's
second.
do it.
The words I'm sorry, I am sorry. You're describing how you are, how you're feeling. It is a feeling.
Hmm.
And you can't say I am sorry if you're not sorry.
Right.
If you
Right.
don't feel sorry, then saying I'm sorry is a lie.
Yeah.
And you're just saying it to put this band-aid over something that happened in order to get to the next
Yeah.
step.
Hmm.
And my kids sometimes kind of have this knee jerk, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I'm like, let's just slow down. Are you really sorry? Like, how do you really feel about this? Let's talk about it.
Hmm.
And then, sometimes my kids bicker to each other, especially my oldest. She likes justice and she wants everything to, be right in the end. And so she'll say, well, he didn't say I'm sorry.
Hmm.
And I have to tell her, maybe he doesn't feel sorry right now.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs to hear a little bit more about how you feel or how he caused you to feel by doing that. And then maybe he'll feel sorry, but you can't demand him to say, I'm
Hmm.
sorry when he doesn't feel
Hmm.
it. As adults, we also tend to say, I'm sorry when we don't
Yeah.
need it or in
I was just thinking
situations
that.
where we don't need to say, I'm sorry or it's not our fault.
Oh my gosh.
And
I'm writing
my
this
hope
down.
with my kids, yeah, we should
This
definitely
is a
dive
different
into
that
this more
we need
later.
a whole episode on this because
Yeah.
I have so much I could add to this. Yeah.
I know. My hope is that just the words I'm sorry are real enough to my kids that they know when to use it and when they don't need to or
Yeah.
when they're not ready to.
I can relate so much with that. My son's the same way. There are moments where he genuinely apologizes, where I know it's coming from a real
Yeah.
emotional place where he does feel sorry for his actions. And then there are times, like you said, where it's just like, fine, I'm sorry. And it's like,
Hmm.
are you though?
Yeah. You're just trying to fix
So
it.
then we have that conversation too. But yeah, that's a good point too, because I'm guilty of sometimes just automatically just being like, oh, sorry, and then
Hmm.
afterwards I'm like, why did I just apologize for that? I didn't do
Yeah.
anything wrong. Like I'm not
Yeah.
actually, there's like nothing for me to apologize for. So anyway, I think that's a really good topic because a lot of that was how we were raised too, I think, where
Yep.
we were like the forced apology, that people pleasing, that, being forced politeness, where we just automatically just apologize when
Hmm.
we don't need to. So I think that's a really good topic for sure. I don't even remember what, okay, so I think we kind of veered
I
into
know.
this topic because you were saying that gentle parenting is not black and
It's
white.
not
And I
perfect.
think
Yep.
I think we just really shared a lot of different examples of just how gray it is. Like,
Yes.
how it really just depends on the person and their intention with how they
And
want
no
to show up and parent.
situation is ever going to be the same.
Right.
Every time it's going to be a little bit different. You can't like memorize a script for one situation that happened
Yeah.
to work with your kid and then expect, a year later for that exact script to work the exact same way because you're
Yeah.
humans and you're growing and you're evolving and you're changing and the environment is different. And so it can't
Yeah.
possibly be that easy or that simple.
That leads me into my next example of what gentle parenting is not. And what you said is perfect. It's not, gentle parenting is not these perfect scripts that you just say and then you're a gentle parent. It's not a formula or a recipe for baking this perfect cake. It's not, just add these ingredients in this amount and voila, you're a gentle parent and everything's going to be unicorns and rainbows and it's going to be perfect.
It would be
It's
nice if
it
it
would
was
be
that easy.
nice, and I think there would be more gentle parents out there if that were the
Oh,
case.
absolutely.
But gentle parenting is not that. It's not a perfect recipe. It's not a formula. It's almost like you want to bake a cake, you want to parent, and what you want to create might be different from the kind of cake or baked good that someone else wants to create because we're different people. We have
Mm,
different values, and the ingredients we want to use might look different. But in the end, we're going to have what we intended to create. Back to us being very different people, very different parents, our values really do drive the style in which we parent.
yeah.
So one gentle parent might look completely different from another gentle parent because their values might be very different. But it's again back to the intention to the approach. as gentle parents, their intention is not to control their kids. I think that's a foundation that can be agreed upon by anyone who identifies as a gentle parent, is that they prioritize the connection with their kids more so than being the dictator in the relationship. They want to have a
Hmm.
genuine relationship that's built on trust, mutual respect, not one-way
Yeah.
respect, and creating that safe environment where they can feel like they can make mistakes and it's okay, and that they
Hmm.
feel comfortable coming to them with any problems and not worrying about being judged or being shamed or being afraid, to talk to them about anything. I think that's very much what a lot of gentle parents can agree on.
Yes, I agree. And I think you can kind of crack open that mindset a lot easier when you come to the realization that you're not going to arrive at gentle parenting and then just be done. You're
Right.
not going to, like you said, you're not going to put in all the ingredients and then bake this perfect cake. And then now you're a gentle parent and you don't have to work at it anymore and you
Yeah.
don't have to learn and grow. It's not like that. It's your entire parenthood,
Yes.
every moment,
Yeah.
every interaction, every decision. It is a lifestyle.
A lifestyle, yes.
Yeah.
Mindset shift. It is a way of life. It's
Yeah.
it's, it's active and intentional parenting
Every day.
every day. Yes.
And then I think maybe the most important realization is that it is not about us as the parent. It's not tunnel vision pointing toward us as a parent.
Mhm.
Their behaviors, their decisions, their reactions, that does not point to us and reflect on our value as a human. And I think it's so easy to see our kids, quote unquote, misbehaving and put it on ourselves. We did this
Mhm.
wrong. We're a bad parent. We don't know what we're doing. We weren't strict enough, or maybe we were too strict, or, whatever, all those judgments. And
Mhm.
the second we shift that and we point the focus at our children, I think it just opens up the lifestyle building rather than this idea of having a perfect formula that will get you to this end result. And then, you're done.
It really is the mindset shift in those daily choices that you
Hmm.
make. And you're right, it's not, there is no finish line in it because you're constantly evolving and growing. Your kids are constantly growing, no matter
Yeah.
how many times you tell them to stop growing so fast, they just keep growing. We're going to reach different milestones and different phases in life. And we're going to have challenges that feel similar, but they're going to be different because your kids are different as they
Mhm.
grow older, and we are different. And our lives are different. There might be life changes and things change, and it's the matter of how we approach each situation, what our mindset is at, how we are processing things. As long as the forefront of it all is the connection that we have with our kids is the priority, I think
Yeah.
that's really what the foundation is of gentle parenting.
And if you don't have this expectation of it looking a certain way all the time, I think you'll be able to go with the flow just a little bit easier
Yeah.
and maybe not be triggered quite so much when things don't go the way that you expected them to.
Well, I think this was a wonderful episode of clarifying what gentle parenting is not, and we also filled it with a bunch of other examples of what it is. And I think we really covered a lot in this
I do
one.
too.
Perfect. All right, I'll talk to you next week.
See you guys next week.
Thank you for listening. We're grateful to have you in this community.
Parenting this way isn't easy. We're all learning, showing up every day, reflecting, repairing, and continuing to grow.
If anything in today's conversation resonated with you, or if you have a question or topic you'd like us to talk through in future episodes, we would love to hear from you. We'll share our contact information down below in the description.
Until next time, be kind to yourself. And remember, you are a fiercely gentle parent.